Welcome to Strife It Up, your weekly talk about Strife. Today with me I have Emperor to my right, and then I have Tintenfisch further to my right. Hello guys,
Hi, Styxa in chat.
What's up, Styxa? Hi, chat.
how are you guys?
Fantastic.
Doing good, man. I had to run around to just get my internet set up and everything to make it here today, so I'm glad I did at least.
Oh god, I'm double transmitting by the way.
You're
It's
Never
all good,
clear.
man.
mind. Anyway, let's jump to the first subject of Strife. Let's see here. Do I have any good subjects here?
I hope you do.
Um, yeah,
What is the
the
first
first subject is gonna be a little bit of the thing that has it going for it. It's about the toxicity of the game. We'll start off with that because that's a huge question that everyone wants to know.
I mean, like, how does Strife compare to other MOBAs?
No,
Oh,
like, okay, I'll say the question aloud. In the current state of this game, it's less toxic than any other MOBA right now. Is it because the community is so small, or is it because like everyone is so familiar and everybody knows everyone?
do you want to start off or should I?
I guess, yeah, I'll start off. Well, small community is one of the bigger factors, but one of the other biggest factors is there's less things to get mad over. With shared gold, there's no more fighting over creeps. With kills and assists being the same, there's no more kill stealing essentially, so there's a lot less to get mad over. It's one of the biggest things. How about you, Emperor?
Yeah, I think I have to agree largely with those points, and I can say that I've attempted to curb it over the years. I'm a player that gets really into the game, and part of that is I get really invested into winning. So naturally, I can get pretty intense in a game, which may or may
It's
not
true,
be
folks.
toxic, depending on who you ask. But I will say that Strife has definitely cut down on that a lot for me personally. Just because, as you said, there's a lot less stuff to get mad over. There's a lot less stressing out over, especially when you're in a public game, for instance, in a less organized environment. Even, I mean, still organized, but then say team play or directly playing with your team, there's less things like, oh, he mistimed that creep kill, or oh, why'd you do? There's a lot less things like that, which really do mitigate sort of the amount of excitement I put out personally. And then also, I think a big part of it has to do with. Uh, I actually lost my train of thought there for a second. No, but it actually has to do largely with the fact that there's a lot less stuff to get excited over. It is largely mitigated by the fact that a lot of things are more team oriented, a lot more
Mm.
shared resources, etc. So as you said, I do think it curbs it a lot. I don't think it will completely solve the problem per se. I mean, when you're playing an organized game or in a team environment or games last so long, naturally you're always going to be trying to win. But I do think it greatly mitigates it compared to any other MOBA on the market.
Yep.
It is impossible to get rid of toxicity. Because as I heard somewhere, if you make something idiot-proof, they'll make a bigger idiot. So it's
Yeah.
impossible to make something 100% non-toxic.
It does indeed lower the expected amount, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, once the
Yeah, the
karma system
minimus.
comes online, yeah, once the karma
Definitely
system comes online,
plus.
that'll definitely play an even bigger part. There's a reason to do good and to not be a jerk, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good too, because yeah, you said incentivize rewards for not being a jerk, basically, in terms of just getting more resources at the end of games as well, and I think that does help a lot.
Yes. Okay, let's jump to another subject here. Like this is a new MOBA as well as any like Dawnggate and such coming up, like Heroes of the Storm and such.
Hmm.
Do you see this game as a strong contender towards the other mobile games in the esport business?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been around the MOBA genre since, the early Dota mods for original Warcraft 3, man, when the game was all about pushing and all that. So I've been around for a long time, and as I consider myself a hard veteran in the genre, I would say definitely. The pacing, it's just a lot more fun for me, first off. As you said, those previous things that were sort of implemented to remove toxicity also remove a lot of the headaches kind of the MOBA genre, because I'm always about like the fast pacing and the combat and the team play, and I don't really care as much about like say the tedious laning phase or a lot of the other things. And some of the things they put in to sort of make the game a little bit more accessible in those regards also makes the game just a lot more fun for me. So in my experience so far, the pacing has been superior to other MOBAs that I've tried, and
Mm.
I've played them all. So yeah, I do.
All right. And for me, I think it's gonna stand toe to toe with Heroes of the Storm. I don't think it's going to do league numbers, but Strife definitely has a draw to itself that other MOBAs don't have. Reduced toxicity, shared goal, less heroes to learn, so it's very, very accessible for everybody.
A
But
little.
things like yeah, like things like Dongate, like I've said before, Dongate doesn't really have a draw per se. It's kind of like a league with an upgrade to it. But Strive has league elements to it that, in addition to having its own spin on its own mechanics. So I think once people actually sit down and try Strife, they'll like it. They'll be enamored by it and want to stay.
Yeah, we are addicted to it, or not you, Emperor per se. You've been playing a lot of
I
Skullgirl.
like something until you can't deny that I was heavily invested for a long time there.
Oh,
So
Yep.
yeah.
that's still I am, but I just have had to take care of other stuff so I can get back to feeding my addiction.
Yeah, okay. Do you guys think that Strife will be recognized as casual or an esport game when people talk about it, like a competitive game? If you think it's gonna be more of a casual term, please explain why.
I'll
Well,
take that. I think. Sorry, do you want to start, Joe?
no, you go ahead.
All
It's
right.
cool.
I think that thinking about it, it's you can't. There are elements that may. I see. I hate the term casual actually, and I know that casual and accessible can sort of be interchanged. I think the game is very accessible. In playing it, anyone can attest to the fact that seeing how intense I get when I play, it's not exactly casual. It's casual in terms of accessibility. It's not casual in terms of its competitiveness. Naturally, any game can sort of be pushed to the limit
Hmm.
in terms of how well you can play it. So that just depends on how well in my opinion, the esports scene is pushed and fostered. It might be seen as a game that's more accessible of all MOBAs, though, but I think that's pretty hard to tackle on directly and hard to predict.
No, I agree with Emperor. Like the term casual is kind of like a buffer or a fluff word. I mean, like Total Biscuit was saying when he was previewing Strife during the alpha, is Brood War, StarCraft Brood Wars was not meant to be competitive at all, and it became one of the most biggest competitive games to ever play. So as long as we have the game here, the community itself will make its own competitive scene together.
Yeah,
But the biggest thing I want to know is how S2 is going to respond to it. Like, are they going to allow crafted items, or are they not going to? So
they have to. There's no way
yeah,
that would be a huge blow to competitive play to not allow crafted items, in my opinion, just because of the diversity it allows, and I think so anyway.
One
but I
thing that
think
could fix that is though is if S2 or they support the tournaments and they make it so that they have special accounts, like everyone has everything unlocked that they need, that they wanna use. If you guys understand, so it gets
I
balanced
get
in
it.
that sort of way, or you just remove crafted items completely when it comes to the competitive scene, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
don't like that. To me, it'd be like in League removing any rune sheets and things like that too, just because craft items they're not like huge modifiers, but they can definitely change your play style and kind of what you're
Mm.
going for. And to take that away from competitive play would just be, in my opinion, devastating for strategy. I'm not sure how they'll tackle and approach competitive play. I mean, I almost think it's fine as is. It's not that hard to get what you want. It honestly isn't. Even after a few weeks of playing beta, I had pretty much everything I wanted in terms of that. So anyone playing competitive isn't going to be playing the game once a week. But yeah, I don't know. I personally would like to see craft items in competitive.
Yeah, it's a cool feature.
I
It
don't know
is.
how would S2 would have like a catch-all account for everybody because everybody wants their own crafted parts. Like, I like my Grimoire with all these power crystals in it.
Yeah,
Very
that's
difficult to
yeah,
have
that's
that.
nonsense. So
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Trying to find a good question here.
Promise
they're
you
all
question,
Okay,
Styxa.
as you know, it's closed beta and there's a lot of new features coming to the game. What would you guys like to see the most be added to the game?
Matchmaking.
We all know that matchmaking is coming.
Biggest features added to the game aside from that. Well, definitely more skins, colors, things like that. Some more items too. I always feel with this game like there's not enough late game things. Like you get power conduit and then that's really it. So I like to see more items that you can get more towards late game, even though the
Mhm.
games are shorter. Something you can more build towards. Something like that,
And how
as
about you,
opposed to just
Emperor?
buying tomes.
Uh, for me, outside of the obvious of matchmaking, which would go without saying, really,
Mm.
matchmaking is the number one thing I want. And a final patch where when it's no longer, going to get reset and all that eventually, is an in-depth practice mode. Because as you said, you might call the game casual, but I think there's a lot of ways to expand upon it competitively, and in-depth practice mode helps do a lot of work Putting in that lab time definitely lets you open up strategies, figure out other game mechanics more in depth, and come up with a lot. So yeah, in-depth practice mode is the number one thing I would like to see.
I would
Yeah.
also like to see a WTF mode. 'Cause that's always fun.
Replays too.
Oh,
Sorry, you need
replays, yes.
replay. That goes hand in hand with the practice mode thing. Just ways to improve your game outside of the game, because I feel like the time you spend outside is almost as much important as the time you spend inside of it. So
I can tell you this, Emperor. Replays are currently functioning in the game right now.
okay, well that's
So
something that wasn't
What else?
before, but I guess now it
uh,
is. So
Yeah. I'd
it's
also like to
working now.
see a better spectator window because right now there's very little information. There's a mod you can get, but I'd rather have an official spectator mode
Hmm.
with all this info. And someone's talking about pings in the chat, and they are working on pings, like league-style
okay,
pings.
pings are a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no more of the pings that you barely see. If you don't look at the map, you won't see the ping at all, as it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to see something. I know Stone Skin is kind of like a BKB.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see
I like it a lot.
something. Yeah,
A
I would
true
like to see
BKB.
something like a real BKB. Yeah, and maybe something for let's say counter a rook. You have the void key, but you can't do very much. You just stand there and vulnerable for 2 seconds and then you die anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Rook still considered a problem to you guys? I thought he was fine.
No,
Like
Nah,
he's
still a
he's
problem.
fine. He's
Still
fine
very,
for
he's still
me.
very strong, is all.
he's strong, but I thought a lot of the heroes were problems. Like I actually preferred not to draft Rook in most of my games in
Really?
strats. So,
You're a
yeah,
crazy man to most.
yeah. I don't know. I think it's okay. Maybe some small scaling on abilities, but do you really think you want a whole BKB in the game, Styxa? Like a whole Magic Community item, I should say, as opposed to something like the Stone Skin? Because I think just the way Strife is going is in general is trying to promote more. I guess the skill shot way you can't cancel your animations, and as such, you can do a lot of things to break stuns,
Mhm.
break slows and such, and that's where Stone Skin and other items come in. Do you actually want to see something that's more preventative instead? Because I
But
kind
that
of like the mechanic of reactive play.
the
Yeah.
thing is now that in the end games, pretty much who nukes the best when it comes to normal pub games, for at least. I've been in so many games where I just had 2 seconds on me to nuke someone down, and if I don't nuke him down, he can nuke me down.
Hmm.
And if you
But
could sustain that with a end game item like a BKB, I know in other games you take it up pretty early just to not get
uh,
hit by the spells and such,
Yeah.
but they could
but
make it like so it's an end game item instead.
on the same token, if you put like a BKB into this game, it just kind of devalues all the other stun breaking things. It devalues Pincer and Inertia Boots and Stone Skin. Like, why get Stone Skin when I can get BKB over anything else?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just
I think
missed the item from Dota and Han.
Yeah.
I see.
I would like items
I
to kind of help your
don't
team.
miss that. I
I,
played it for 8
I would
years or
like
so.
I would like more items to help your teammates out. Like Force Staff in Dota is a perfect example. I'd like to have something like that in a game where you can help out your teammates, not just yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, I heard it was actually being implemented that the team utility items are actually getting more of a buff in the way that they interact. Maybe there's more buffs to the items directly and how powerful the effects are or whatever. I would actually like to see more of those utility items buffed because I love getting that Seer's Eye. Is that what it's called? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Seer's Eye.
Yeah, I love getting that item. I love the Wind Rush. I love all those types of the Void Key. I love them. Sometimes they feel a little bit weak compared to your other options, but yeah, I would like to see those kind of brought up to speed if they are lacking or seen that in numbers. Because it's been a little bit since I've gotten a chance
We
to them, but
we are
it's
getting a question about Dragon Shield. He wants thoughts on Dragon Shield.
it will pop up soon.
It'll pop up soon. I think I've heard. I'm not positive, but it's getting nerfed. The
Yep.
next patch going from like 200 to like 170
Yep.
is the base health,
Yep.
yeah.
base foul health.
Okay, let's skip to the next question. This is a toxicity question as well. Like when matchmaking comes out, will there be a lot more competitive play and a lot more intense games that will it increase the anger or will it fix the problems with toxicity? Because when
I
you get into a
guess
matchmaking game, it's kind of like ranked. And matchmaking is
no,
ranked, so you
depends how they do it. Like, are they do like league where they have like a casual mode, a ranked mode, and then a practice mode, whatever? Or they do something like that?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
guess it depends how competitive you are. If you're like you're really competitive, doesn't matter what mode you play
yeah.
yeah,
or what
I
level.
still think it depends. There's two ways to look at it. The higher you go, the more people care. Like the higher rating you go, the more people care about winning to like increase it. But at the same time, the more people care about winning, so the more likely they are to do their best in order to use teamwork to win the game. But I think all the other elements, as said, matchmaking might I don't know. It's kind of adds some things, takes away others in terms of that. There will be a lot less levers and such when matchmaking comes in, because you're punished more for something like that. So that solves that. And yeah, I think it just kind of fits into the same things that remove the toxicity from the game will also reduce some of the rage. Naturally, human nature is human nature. Some people will be salty one game and okay the next, the same person maybe. But yeah, I don't think it really changes too much, to be honest, in that regard.
Yeah, I went along with the karma system. It keeps people. It should keep people in line, because if you're to be competitive, you don't want to rage out and just lose it all because of bad karma.
Yeah.
So there will be growing pains, but I think it'll work out.
Good points. Good points. Okay, let's talk a little bit of the meta.
The meta.
Okay, yeah. The meta or the laning phase of the game is currently 2-1-2. No, wait, 2-2-1.
2-2-1.
Yep, because of Baldir. Do you think people will do tri-lanes and junglers in a competitive match? And do you see it viable to leave a lane with more opponents than you have on the lane, if you understand what I mean?
Like to have a 2v1 type of setup on purpose?
Yeah.
Well, jungling is absolutely viable, as we've seen Mob and Jizu do and other people do. Even player Pantera showed us that jungle ace can work. So jungling is absolutely a very viable thing. You just have to make sure whoever you're leaving alone can actually handle the 1v2, because this game is probably the first MOBA where it's actually beneficial to push towards your opponent's tower. I've never seen another MOBA
League
actually
was kind
do
of like
that.
too, though.
Which was like that?
League was kind of like that too. Usually have a lot of
Could be.
lanes all pushing and applying pressure, and
But yeah, as for tri-laning, probably not, because with the shared gold mechanic, you're just sharing experience. You're also sharing gold between each other, so everyone is getting less, as opposed to one getting all of it. Everybody's getting less, so
But
it kind of slows down their growth.
But you still get 12 gold from the solo lanes. If they get the last sets, you get 12 gold from the solo lanes.
They do it. The
It's
big
8 or
one,
12.
it's
12 per creep, like normal creep.
well, it's
If-
it's 6 for small and then 12 for the big guys.
Yeah, then you get 24 for the big guy. Don't you?
If they get it,
Yeah.
as that if they're by themselves, that means 2v1, so they might be able to get all those last hits.
Mhm.
But it really depends, because if you try laning in this game, your growth is extremely slowed down because everyone's crammed in a lane. You can't really jungle like you can in Dota, where you pull creeps and stack them. So that's kind of gone.
You can pull creeps though.
Well, you can't stack
but
them.
you can't stack them, no.
You can't. That,
Oh, I
that'd be
haven't. I haven't actually
deciding
tried
factor.
stacking them. Have any one of you experimented with it?
They
I don't think
they've
you can
tried.
stack. I think I
They
tried.
don't go that far. I don't think it's not even programmed in. What
Oh.
say you, Emperor? I've been
I'm
talking all
pretty
the
sure you
time.
can't stack. I haven't tried in depth actually, since I think I tried when I first started out in Strife, just to see. But I'm pretty sure it's coded to where you can't. I don't take my word for it, but I'm 85%, 90% sure that you just can't stack. I think it's on a fixed timer to where the camp dies. I don't think you can spawn too. In terms of tri lanes, though, you just have to look at like, yeah, you could. I mean, the same way that you have 2 mid and 2 top for the Baldir protection, a 3 and a 1 could also offer 4 people on that side of the map. It all just depends on the lane matchups, as said before. If you can make sure your 3 are almost completely shutting out there too, you get lane equilibrium, because somehow you get the lane to sort of push in your favor, and you hold it kind of sort of near your tower while your other 2 guys completely deny them experience. It could be worth it if your 1 is able to, say, do fine against their 2 in mid. It just really depends about the matchups, the heroes applied, and what kind of heroes get added to the game too, that might sort of help in those regards. But yeah, I could see it as being possible, but I don't think you want to stay static with something like that for too long. I don't want to rule that out yet, though. I definitely think it's there's room to play.
Yeah, the map is pretty smaller than any other MOBA map, so it's pretty easy to go and gank, even though, like, if you have one guy in the middle and you go 3 bottom, for example, he can just go mid pretty quickly and they can work together and get a kill or 2.
You
Like-
get experience for pushing a tower too in gold, don't you? So I mean,
Yeah.
there's regard to fast pushing as
Yep.
well, 3 in lane at the start that can really quickly overwhelm their 1, and then breaking. There's potential that needs to be experimented with and
Yes.
explored for sure.
I think if you do it, you have to get the tower down really quick though, because if you're 3 in a lane, there's 2 in the other lane. Like
Yep.
say there's a hail middle on the other side. If he gets level 6 first and he comes to your lane, he has an
Yeah.
ultimate that your guys don't have. So
Of
things to
course,
consider.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yes, let's go to the next subject. Let's talk a little bit more of the in-game futures. I have a question here about pets. So, which one is your favorite pet that you can use for all your heroes? Like all the heroes. There's 14 heroes in the game, by the way. So, which pet is your favorite, Tintenfisch? Let's
I
start
like
with you.
Tortoise. Tortoise is my favorite pet. He was my first pet I chose out of the tutorial. because he always has that guaranteed health. Either being dive, either magic damage or regular auto attack damage. You always have that 300 health, provided you're not stunned. But you can always get inertia boots or stone skin or something to help you get out of stun. So I think Tortoise is probably the best way to go for anybody.
On top of the fact that he works for casters with the mono regen, or if you want to be more tanky with the
Yep.
inherent maximum HP increase, and that scales with the game. That wouldn't be my answer though.
Oh,
I use tops for everything right now, kind of because I have to, because that's what I have maxed out. I love that pet because I mostly just play those tank heroes. But if you had to say one pet that you use for every single hero, I'd go fall back to Pincer. Just because it opens up your route where you don't need to get inertia boost, you don't need to get that. And I think that whole breaking stun mechanic with the Pincer's immunity ability is really powerful. The armor scales really, really well into the late game as well. It's just kind of my play style, and I like to be really positioning reliant. So it helps you those times you do get stepped out or someone likes to overextend to try to get you. It helps you kind of break that and reposition really nicely.
but with Tortoise, you can tower dive easier.
You can
Like,
taken away
uh,
from source great in the early game too.
uh-huh.
Um,
I feel like one of the biggest arguments is, should I take Pincer or Tortoise?
yeah.
Mosaic was like bugging me so much about that.
I haven't even unlocked Tortoise or Pincer for that reason.
We're not friends. Let's go, Emperor. We're going to a different talk show.
He's wanting to get finished. I haven't been using him lately because I want to finish maxing him out, but soon.
Yeah,
What
okay.
would you, how about your pet, Styxa? What's your pet choice?
My pet choice is Bounder.
Okay.
Because I always like to dash in or dash out of fights.
It's true.
He's Flash. He has Flash.
And he also has the possibility of slowing people. I never play support or anything like that. Like I always try to play the nuker or the solo lane.
Yeah.
So I don't go for those other pets. They make no sense to me. Pincer would though, but
all heroes though, man. So that's why otherwise I would say tops because I just love that AoE slow. I love that raw aggression.
yeah.
Just like in the middle of the fight and laying it down. But yeah.
Okay, next question. Let's see here. Okay, we can take the one with the dragon shield. Because I know that you don't think that it's OP, Emperor. I heard you saying that you're glad that people use it. Okay, so what do you think of the dragon shield and how good the power ratio is on it? Like I think it's 100% power ratio on it. Like
Yeah.
you get 100% out of your
Yeah,
power.
every item you get 100% power ratio out of. Like things that scale based on your power, based on their base value. So every item is 100% power ratio. I don't think that'll ever change. It just keeps it simple and easy to calculate.
It is
The only
going.
real other.
It is
the
going
only-
to get nerfed.
It is one of theirs. The other problem I have with it is like it's one of those items that it works for anybody, and I want it to be more specialized. Like if you want to do trading cards, if there's some card that's in every single deck, no matter what it is, it usually gets banned because you don't want kind of stabilization. So I like to see Dragon Shield to be more specialized. So if I'm going to tank route, I have to get Dragon Shield. Not I'm going caster route, I'm not going to get Dragon Shield. I want it to be more specialized as opposed to anybody can get it at any point. At least that's how I feel. I don't think it's overpowered. I just want it to be more specialized.
I mean, I think anybody can get it at any point if they want to be making a bad item build. I think depending on what you're trying to accomplish, it's not the way to go because in terms of raw defensive value, it isn't better than your other options when you're trying to build tank. In terms of its regenerative shield and how it, in the laning phase, if you get it really early in the game, I noticed some people like to do that lately. When I was watching, it's good there because you can, trade a lot better in that regard. Or if you're poking in and out while defending, it can, regen and build it up, and it's a good choice for nukers because they get to do it. But in terms of raw tanks, I just don't. The numbers don't add up if you do the math, and the fact that it's gonna get nerfed a little bit to 170, I think makes it even more specialized in that regard, where it's good for the poking still, but it takes away from its tank ability even more in terms of those raw numbers. And it actually, I mean, you can do the math for it. It is not that amazing. It's great for the poking game, but if you're a big tank, like say you're playing a Bastion or you want to get right in the middle of the fight, and you have to kind of absorb, it's not the item you want to go for. That's how it breaks down.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm convinced.
I used to be happy when people were just buying it on every hero with no regard to how they were sort of positioning in the fights or what they were trying to accomplish. Because we tend to laugh and say, okay, free win. They just wasted an item choice. But that's how I feel about it. Anyway, I think it's a good item, but I do think it has its place. And if it could scale down even more, it's going to be even more focused towards that place. And I don't really think it needs to be touched more without a lot further analysis.
Okay, Six, a quick question. Is this being recorded?
This has been recorded, yes.
It's being recorded, opinion.
Yes. Okay,
I chat
let's
every so often. All right.
jump to the next question. This is something like, I know Bastion was a hard trouble before,
Yeah.
but which hero do you feel is the strongest or the most overpowered in the game, and how would you see it more balanced?
You can start Emperor. I gotta think a bit.
God, that's so hard, especially because, as you know, I haven't been playing for a few weeks now, like 2.5 weeks. I've played the ton out of the game before, but I've just been busy, so I'm about to get back to it. So things may have changed a little bit. My opinion might have changed in that time, but when I kind of quit was right when they, not quit, but stopped playing for a bit, was right when Bastion took a little bit of a hit. In some ways, like the AoE of his ulti, etc. And I thought
It was
that
a
was
slap on the. It was a slap on the wrist. It was nothing.
yeah, but I thought it was playable against him before though, so I never really considered him vastly OP, but I thought he was strong. I honestly, in terms of utility, like a hero, I need to see more and play with him more in a competitive environment. But at the time, I thought Vex was just an incredible hero, almost mandatory in a lot of ways. Because I thought that instant 2-second shield that he has to cover allies gives that inertia boot effect and preventative damage does so much with even one point in it. And the global presence alone, on top of the fact that it's a pretty solid follow up initiation. Follow up to your initiation in a fight. I just thought that global potential allowed you to split push and mobilize so much better in a game where otherwise you'll have to get teleport boots in order to accomplish it, and you can sort of go everywhere with him. So I thought Vex was just incredibly well-rounded and kind of fit into any lineup and really usable. That was, I think, my choice before.
And what
I
is
had the
your
same
choice?
thing.
Yeah.
My only choice probably not really a hero, but like their ability is Rook's W. I think the lower the nuke a bit because there are times I walk out into the lane like this and I have to go immediately back, and he's like really the only hero that really does that. I feel like Vermilion takes time to do, but Rook just goes right into you, and then there's your health completely gone. I think the only way to really do or alter that is to alter his W a bit, the hide then seek. I don't think it needs that nuke that badly, or doesn't be that strong because it already has his E, which basically activates on all of his abilities.
You know
That's
who
always
else
good anyway.
fighting Rook? Ace. Activate those shards, and Rook loses more health than he puts out to you. That's always fun.
Yeah, but not every hero has a special ice
I know.
shard that they can have, so.
But
But
yeah,
that's
I'm
my
not,
2
I'm not
cents.
sure. I never was too worried about it, but maybe it does need to be scaled down a little bit. So
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I would put my like the hero that I think is the most strongest or the overpowered in the game is Rook and Vex. Like both of them in competitive play, we've seen it in Strife HQ. Multiple teams have just picked those two heroes because they are so strong. You can put Vex in both solo lane and against two people. And as soon as he's level 6, he can be all around the map. And if you get warp boots, he has so much lane presence in all lanes. And
What
he
would you
can do
change
work.
about him?
What I would change about him, can't really say. Like I've been playing a lot of Vex. Um,
the shield.
Maybe a little bit more cooldown on the Q.
On the
Cause
swarm shot?
no, the Q is, yeah, it's the swarm shot, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. The
Cause
triangles.
that only has 6 seconds cooldown, and like he can constantly harass with it. If you get like a mana regen item, he
Like
doesn't even
glacial
need anything
gem, you
else.
get
He
it.
can just stand there and spam it on people, and it can take half their HP when it's level 4.
See
And
that was oh.
Uh-oh. Roboticizing.
yeah. Yeah, and Rook, like, he's not as good as he was before. I've been
Uh-oh.
playing a lot
Oh,
of Rook lately
there we go.
now, and he's not as good as before. Um, they nerfed his E. You notice it really hard if you have played him a lot, which I have. Um, I've altered my build now when it comes to Rook,
Mm.
so I get that 360 from my E, because now I think it's 300 max, and
hmm
it's good, but yeah. Experiencing technical
Technical deal.
difficulties.
You guys sound like robots
You
to me.
are. What's going on then?
What's going on, Joe?
Oh no.
Yo?
What's wrong? Styxa?
Am I wrong?
What's wrong? What's the problem?
The problem with Rook is
Oh.
like
Oh no, you said technical difficulties.
Oh, that was Joe. He's writing in Skype.
Oh, okay, I was.
His internet is being weird.
Oh no, no, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, no, I mean, you know how I feel about Rook. I mean, that's how we used to view it, or when I was playing with KG a lot too. We never really thought too much of the hero, I guess. Thought he
Mm.
needed a little bit too much to get going, but I don't know. He is a good hero. I need to play with him more to refine my opinion. But as it previously said, I didn't see him as overpowered.
Hmm. Okay, let's see what's happening to Joe.
I think he's cut out and died on us.
Yeah, he kind of died on
Oh,
us.
he's having latency problems or whatever for robots. He said we're sounding a little bit out, so
Yeah,
hopefully that fixes
sounds
up.
weird.
Yeah, it happens.
Anyway, if you guys that are currently viewing this show, if you guys have anything you would like for us to talk about, I'm running out of questions already. We've been talking for, I don't know, half an hour. If you guys have any subject you would like for us to bring up, just paste it in there and we'll try to make the best out of it. You fished out.
Fished out, yeah. It's typical Tintenfisch.
What about stacking items? Yeah, that's a good question. What do you like? What's your opinion on stacking items like Inferno Brand?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Inferno Brand is still an item with like you have multiple tanks out. You don't want to be getting it on every hero. I think it's okay. I don't want to see items made so they don't stack. I don't think. Maybe you could have mitigated effects if they stack. If it is actually a problem. When I was playing a lot, I actually didn't perceive it to be too big of an issue, but I don't. I wouldn't like to see it taken away because it going in line with the other features of the game, such as like the
Uh-huh.
shared gold, etc. That's one of those things you'd be like, oh, why you idiot? Why'd you buy an Inferno brand? I already have one, and yada yada. Screw that. I don't want that. So just maybe they can tweak the numbers a bit if they need to. Maybe like the items slightly, but I would like to see items stack for the most part, unless there's something incredibly broken that's found. I
Yeah,
honestly,
Inferno.
when people complain about stuff, most people are bad. So they see something as being wrong. I just want to say like it's still early on, so a lot of people are bad. This is how it is. A lot of us, even at the top or whatever, a lot of people who are playing well or even winning the Strife Weekly tournaments, you can consider a lot of people to still be bad. There's a lot of room to explore with the game, so a lot of early knee-jerk complaints I don't think should be taken too seriously.
No,
Just look at the numbers, see how it plays out, and feel it out from there. But I don't think it's too crazy.
no, I don't. I just dislike the Inferno Brand being able to stack because it should only take damage from the first closest one, in my opinion.
Mm.
Because if you have three Inferno Brands and everyone has like 100 DPS per second, you get 300 DPS per second. I mean,
You do, but are you having three tanks? Like, what about your nukers that are putting out damage? You don't want your,
yeah, but you.
Moxie sitting up in front. That Moxie will melt in a second if your Rook is picking it up. So if you have three tanks,
Ah,
sure. Then you have other.
sorry, Storm knocked out my power lines.
That's a good
Fixed.
excuse. That's,
New York's being hit pretty hard by a storm right now.
I was
Sorry about that,
late because I
folks.
didn't have internet too. That's
I don't know if your cam is working though.
not
Tintenfish.
yet. It's loading. Yeah, or it shows the loading. I don't know if it will. But you don't like the Inferno brand second, you said? You think it is a little bit. Because I think it's
It's
positioning dependent too. It makes you. They could always decrease the radius slightly. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of positioning dependent and depends how many tanks you're running. And yeah,
in my opinion, like you can play, you have the tank in your team, and then you have like, let's say an assassin like Rook, but you can play Minerva, and he can go for the Inferno Brand as well.
and yeah,
And then you have Vex. Vex is also popular when it comes to Inferno Brand because you have that Warberry Seekers, the
that's what
rockets
I
that
said.
shoots
Yep.
out of him.
Yeah, so
Uh,
it naturally synergizes in that regard.
yeah.
So
So
I would
if you
agree.
have those three with Inferno Brand, you're like doing
Yeah,
so much damage.
yeah, it is a lot. Maybe they could scale the numbers if it's necessary. Like you have to watch your positioning too, though. As
Yeah.
said, like if you're only having one hero in that 500 AOE or two, and the others are in the back line, throwing out nukes and longer range, maybe it's not as much of a problem. So
No.
yeah, just feel it out, I guess.
I
I
don't know,
don't mind.
and I don't know any other items that do stack except Captain's Crest, but I haven't seen any like super difference when you're looking at the creeps or the attacks of the creeps when you're stacking Captain's Crest. I don't know if you've been looking at that.
The Captain's Crest stacking.
Yeah.
Uh, it didn't seem like. I mean, Captain's Crest on its own isn't the most efficient item for the purchase. It does give the bonus. It's good. It's okay in regards, but still, if you have like a lot of heavy nukers, you can still clear out waves. If you're stacking it, you are giving up those item slots. I haven't perceived it to be a balance problem. Um, if it is seen to be way too insane with like 3 early captains crosses and pushing a lane, at that point, yeah, you can look at it if there's no viable counters. But I would like to see things left alone unless proper counter strategy or whatever has been explored, or actual proper use of said thing to see if it's broken has been explored. Just the fact that something stacks, though, yeah, I'm not gonna knee jerk it on that. I haven't felt it.
No.
So
I don't remember all the items that actually has something, an aura, let's say.
An aura.
there isn't much, man. That you pretty much covered it. So
Be a brand crest. That's really it. There's like no Vlad's and Vlad's hood, Vladimir's offering, or
No.
anything like that. Really, at least not yet.
Yeah, okay, we have a question here from the Thomas. Do you consider melee over range or range over melee? And what are the reasons? When it comes to
It
heroes, I guess.
depends.
oh,
It depends your playstyle and what you want or what your team needs. I don't think there's really any reason to really strongly go for one over the other unless you really need to.
I I prefer melee.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because I've always been the kind of like a YOLO executioner kind of player. I just like to jump in there. I actually what I like doing more than dealing damage is absorbing damage. I know you can say, oh, they just don't have to target you, but you have to be as much of a threat as you can to make people want to target you, you know? And I love just getting in there, absorbing damage, and getting out of the fight with like 100 HP. That happens, you
Tank,
know, and
tank is so much fun.
yeah, and using a pet like Tops or something like that, it benefits me to get in close range, to apply the immolation to everybody, to be doing the slow, and I just like getting in people's faces and causing chaos. And a melee just fits. They have better. All the melee heroes have natural kits which allow them to perform better in melee range. So that's kind of why I prefer that.
I play everybody, so I have no real preference. Really.
And
Whatever.
me, I mostly like to play ranged because they are the assassins for me. Like
Yeah.
Caprice, the Rook, you have the Malady. Malady is the greatest nuker in the game when it comes to focusing down one target.
Hmm.
Um, then you have Moxie, the Thunder Pussy.
People call him Thunder Pussy now. That is
uh,
Electric Thunder Pussy. Wow, that's
uh,
Well, that covers all of
that's
them.
casual.
Covers all the bases. He likes range. He likes melee. I don't give a shit. There you
uh,
go. Every possibility covered.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play range and stuff too, but it's his preference is leans towards, the crushers.
yeah, okay, we have a question from Razu. How do you think they will balance between normal games, ranked, and
Uh-oh.
non-toxic games?
Losing
But
again.
Huh?
he's getting cut out again. He might be gone, so we'll have to handle this one until he's back.
This cam is still here though.
Yeah, his cam is, but he's getting the robot. Maybe he can type his response. So what do you mean how they balance between them? What do you mean?
Yeah, he said how to balance between normal games and ranked games and non-toxic games. Like, will there be th three types of games? I don't know.
I'm sure they all will exist. In terms of rewards you get or what? I mean, just play whatever fits you best. Like for me, if I'm playing with a friend who's new to the game, I'll be running in a normal, or a casual game is like a normal game, right?
Uh,
And then ranked game is just what I would normally like to play, just matchmaking. I just like the play style that usually is more encouraged in a game like that. So, in terms of balancing between them, if you mean in terms of rewards, I think they should be kept to pretty similar match rewards. Yeah,
yeah.
unless there's some sort of abuse that can be found in the other mode.
Okay. Sucks that I was running out of questions. They went so quickly by.
And,
But the time is actually 7:54 p.m.
yeah, yeah.
So it's in this time zone or the deadline. Um, let's see here. Lurshi, question. Nobody likes Ray. Why? Does he need a boost?
Oh, Ray is so godly, isn't he? Like he was really good, and then they buffed him even more, and I saw those buffs, and I was like, holy hell, that is insane. And I heard some people might even be complaining he was too strong. What do you think of Ray, Styxa?
I love Ray.
I think Ray's amazing. Love that hero. Actually, he's one of my favorite range heroes to play. I think he's really strong. I think maybe people his spells are a little bit more interesting, I think, than some of the other heroes where he has the mine and has like a delayed onset
Yeah.
before it goes to chase people, and there's like the net and a little bit more finicky in terms of skill shots. So maybe people are a little bit afraid to play him more, but I think a competent player playing Gray is destructive.
Yeah, there's like so many builds you can do with Ray,
Hmm.
and he's really fun. He's really versatile, and he
Yeah.
varies a lot from player to player. Um, I've been experimenting a lot with we call it the battle or whatever, battle heroes. We do like Malady and such with attack speed and attack damage. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, turning everyone into a DPSer.
And Ray really works with that. He works in that regard that oh god, is Tintenfisch back again?
Uh, he's not talking, but
Uh,
well, Ray's got a natural steroid with his cold shot.
yeah,
I don't know the official name for it, but
All right. See how long this time it lasts.
the
oh, there you
freezing
go.
Ray.
Yeah, the freezing ray. Honestly, I'm the worst. I've played even when I've played Dota or whatever game for so many years. It's I never call abilities by the ability name. I just always like call whatever I think is fun to say at the moment. And I like to scream it and get all intense about it. I never care much for ability names.
Oh, good. You should play with us then. You have terms like the shabams, the pew pews.
Yeah, it's so much more fun. It's so much more fun to say it like that. And they're like, "What do you mean shabam him? You can't. What does that even mean?" I'm like, "Let
Or
me down."
Soraka's bananas.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's round up with the last question here. As far as buffs and debuffs, would you expect to see more items and skills that apply to a wider variety of such to heroes? Like slows, poisons, dots, physical dots, snares.
I'd like to see items more do that, just so you can buy utility. Like one of the biggest things I had for that league that you couldn't do, you can't buy utility. Whatever abilities you have essentially. And we have some of that in Strife. We have the Hexbane, which is like the sheep stick. So I'd like to see more just regular items you can get, like slows, all that,
Hmm.
whatever snares.
We have the Frost brand. We've got the Everwinter charm. We've got
Curse
yeah,
Bond.
stuff like that. Well, yeah, we have the yeah, but maybe some other utility stuff could be cool to add. But there are a fair amount of items that do give you
Mhm.
various disabling. We have the arm. Well, I guess it's not for the team, but it's just the armor reduction for yourself. Yeah, there are a lot of options, but I don't think it's a bad thing. But I kind of like having certain heroes more specialized as well in doing their thing. So.
Yeah. I would like to see just to try it out, like if they add like neutral camps, if they get like if you kill this camp, you get maybe some bonus. It's pro
Like
probably getting a
buffs.
little bit like leaguey, yeah, like buffs.
I think because at that point, jungling does become viable or not, does it become like necessary or not? You have to jungle at that point because you need those buffs. It would force the meta to have a jungler.
Yeah, but it doesn't
So I
have
don't
to
th-
be like in League of Legends, but let's say the blue or the red buff.
but it would still be totally worth it to have a jungler to go get those buffs for the team. So no matter what kind of buffs in there, it's gonna be worth to have a jungler in there getting that.
Hmm.
At least that's
Yeah.
how I feel.
How do you feel about it, Emperor?
No comment. Like if you do that, you have to rebalance the jungle, and maybe the jungle still needs to be rebalanced as is. I don't know, but it's just another dynamic. I don't really. I'm
Yeah.
not slanted one way or the other. Whatever they decide is best for the game, I'm happy playing with, honestly. So yeah, no real opinion on that one.
Yeah.
Just I kind of like having more options available. So whatever in the end provides more options in terms of do I want a jungle, do I not want a jungle, do I have to do this? Whatever gives the most versatility is the option I would like to see.
Would
So
you like would you guys like to see let's say our early game like the mobs get I would like to see something like the mob gets stronger and you receive more gold
mm,
further
that's
into
it.
the game.
Then
That would be pretty cool. Like let's say we're 50 minutes into the game, all of a sudden there comes like crushing waves of minions that gives you more gold and gets more exciting. Maybe not in a normal ranked game, but something to fool around with friends and such.
Oh, like a WTF mode type of deal? Something like that?
Yeah, but not really.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, gameplay modes are awesome. If you mean just opening something else up, I
Yeah.
think you always want to perfect the main modes of something first, because 90% of your traffic will always be spent kind of on those main things before developing the fun ones. Like, I mean, Mid Wars and stuff took off where that was kind of a mode that was played. It felt like it was almost as much as the game itself
Mm.
in Han. But yeah, I don't know. Always open for things, but yeah, I just want to see the main game refined as much as possible.
Okay, that should round it up. It's 8 p.m., guys.
All right.
So I'm gonna
All
thank you
right.
both for being here. It was a pleasant first Strife It Up talk show.
For me, I got disconnected twice.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
Well,
First time, it can always go shit.
yeah. Honest Happy Emperor can join us again in the game of Strife. I
Yeah,
just hope I don't have to fight him ever.
No, no, no. I'll be a scrub coming back. No, I'm kidding. I'll still be solid. But
Yeah,
it's
for a day, maybe.
no, no, I will soon. I just have to take care of a few more things. I still follow the game. I've still been watching, the weekly Strife cast for the tournament on the weekend, etc. It's been fun to keep up with it. And I'm keeping up with all the patches, and I like tuning into Styxa, and I appreciate all the work you're doing as well, Styxa. You put in mad time into your streaming and production. It's
It's
really,
true.
really awesome. You do
thank you.
amazing work. So keep it up.
Thank you. So, well, thank you all for tuning in. This will be it for tonight. Is it anything you guys would like to say to the people viewing or anything? Like a shout out, anything? Just to end it up?
Yeah.
Don't get empowered bracer.
Okay, first tip of the day from Tintenfisch. Don't get
There
a
you go.
power praise. Yeah, well, thank you all for tuning in. See ya.